As you may know, Satisfactory has been released on Steam, so this is my, sort of in honor of that, tour of my factory. I haven't actually played the game for probably about a month or two since I sort of played the absolute crap out of it when I had first gotten it. I had like 180 hours, maybe almost 200. So I sort of want to just give a tour of my base. So this is sort of my hub area here, the space elevator. That's pretty boring stuff though. Let's get over to my actual factory. Now, it has been a long time, and I'm actually going to go up this little ladder over here. It has been a long time since I upgraded my base from my last base tour that's on my channel. So let me just sort of get up here so we can see a lot. I completely replaced my whole spaghetti setup, and naturally had to make a brand new spaghetti setup. Then I have this massive factory, and this produces pretty much everything I need in the game. Almost everything. So I kind of want to just show you the different floors, and we'll get all the way up to the top. So down here on the bottom, this is mainly where I have just different goods coming across to where they need to go. There's not actual much production that goes on down here, except for the concrete that's over there. The concrete over there is probably the only thing being produced, I would say, except for some mining operation. Let's go up to the second floor. Okay, so this second floor was my attempt at making a big, organized factory where I can produce pretty much everything. This whole wall here is my copper production. This whole wall over here is my caterium production and my steel production. And then all of this mess, which let me see if I can like sort of fly through here. This whole mess is my iron production, which it isn't huge, like I've seen bigger, but this is good. Like this handles enough where, as you can see, most of the goods are clogged up. I don't even produce enough stuff to have it completely fill up. So it is good. This is where things get messy, okay? This floor here is where I take a lot of the ingredients made from below, and I make a lot more complex products. I'm talking circuit boards, I'm talking high-speed connectors, I'm talking computers, supercomputers, AI limiters. This is where a lot more of the like later game sort of higher tier objects are created. It's pretty good, pretty impressive. It is a bit of a mess though. But for example, like if I go in here, I've just got tons of computers just in storage. So this is really nice and really handy, and something I recommend you do is try to automate this higher up stuff as soon as you can, because then you'll be able to use them in your buildings and things much easier instead of having to build it all by hand. Now the top floor produces a very special product, so let's go up there. Up here in the top, as you can see, I have it color-coded for what it creates, which is indeed turbo motors. So I've got motors, I've got heat sinks, I've got everything being produced elsewhere in the factory, and then everything comes up here and the final parts are being assembled. And they come together on this grand assembler right here, and it creates my turbo motors. And if I go down here, you can see I've got tons of them. Okay, that's not actually that much. This one, okay, no. I forgot I actually tossed a bunch into a grinder recently. But it makes my turbo motors. Very slowly. Very inefficient. I'm not efficient, but it's there. They make them. Okay, let's go elsewhere on the tour. So while that area handles most of my general stuff along with a couple more specific items, I do have some side factories that I want to show you. This one we're going to right now, I'm actually really proud of because I worked really hard to make it sort of a confined, just isolated module factory where it's just sort of it makes one or two things for the whole factory and that's it. Okay, no side product, nothing, just the thing. So this factory here makes rotors and iron plates, which are two very common needed ingredients. So I'll take you on a brief tour inside. Bottom floor obviously does a lot of the base processing, like smelting, into iron bars and copper bars and things. I've got this nice staircase, and by nice I mean it works. The second floor takes care of some of the more minute details of making some caterium bars, which then goes and uses an alternate recipe to create more wire, and then the wire is shipped up above. And then over here I've just got a lot of rods and screws and things being made, and all the objects are going up or down. They aren't going lateral, so I wanted to do, or horizontal? I don't know. I wanted them to go up and down more than anything else. So then this final floor, which is nice and pretty open, this is where the actual rotors and reinforced iron plates are created. So it's really nice, and I like the windows. It's a nice little factory. I like it a lot. I'm very proud of it. It's one of my more prouder things, except for this guy, who gets in the doorway every time. Okay. Okay, so my coal power plant, it used to be a bit of a mess, but then I decided, you know what, it's time to reorganize it. It kept messing up, it kept shutting down, and that's because it wasn't efficient, and it wasn't very well sorted, and it was overall a horrible mess. But now it's this nice, clean, efficient row. Like, I can walk down this alleyway, and I can check on them if I really needed to, but I know they're all doing great. So it is just beautiful and nice. I'll show you the mess that's the underneath. We've got water coming in from the left-hand side, being split off into all these. We've got coal coming in from one end and the other end, being split off down right underneath the walkway. It's just such a nice building. The only thing I wish, please, Coffee Stain, please, let us, like, cut these off. Like, let me just put some roofing over this, because if I could have a ceiling above, that'd be great. But I would have to make it way too tall. I just don't want that. Okay. So, this is going to look a little bit messy. There's my spaghetti, okay? There it is. You've wondered where it was, there it is, and that's what it looks like from afar. This is where my copper is produced, or at least some of it is produced. This is also sort of my oil hub. All of my oil products come from, oh, my map button is working. All my oil products come from across the map, like 2,000 kilometers that way. Or meters, I don't know, that way. Really far away. So I ship it all across to over here using a train station. And then once it comes down here, it is then sorted with using this massive mess of belts. Into alclad sheets, rubber, and plastic. Some of them go down, some of them stay in these massive towers of storage, so I always have enough. It's a bit of a mess, but it's my mess, and I love it. Anyway, let's take the fun, fast ride over to my oil platform. It looks slow, but it's not slow. This used to take quite a while, but then I boosted it up. So yeah, we're passing through. I've got my train tracks. Hopefully this isn't too bad on YouTube. There's my nice train right now, the Oil Express. Okay, now we're coming down to some of my more complex operations I've got going on. So my oil production here used to be a mess. That's what it used to look like. Okay, so please do not judge. Please. Over here I have my massive amount of coal generators, and they are beautifully made. I used Total Eclipse. He's a YouTuber who loves Satisfactory. I used his guides on how to make very, 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 very nice coal oil or coal power production. So I highly recommend his channel. Hopefully I'll be smart enough to link it below in the description so you can see how I made those. Then over here I have a mess of fuel generators, which honestly I don't use too much because they're just so complicated and they're just annoying to deal with, versus coal is just so much more simple in my opinion. But there are all my fuel generators. They make some more power for me. These ones have to make all the necessary ingredients, ship them through pipes, and then that gets split amongst all those over there. I'm not going to bother going all the way over there, though, because that's just a whole thing to deal with. And then this is my alclad sheet factory, which takes all the messy ingredients involved in that process and makes alclad sheets. If you have tackled alclad sheets in your game, congratulations, you have achieved greatness, because man, they are not easy to make. But once you start making them, you can get a ton of them. So that's what these are making here. They make them pretty rapidly, I would say. Okay, briefly cutting for a moment. So this is my side iron station. It's next to that side factory I showed you previously. And here is my train. And this will take me actually pretty much all around the entire map. So all I have to do is turn the autopilot on. It'll wait a moment, and then it'll get going. Maybe I'll do a brief montage of some beautiful train clips, or I'll just go straight there. A little bit of lag there. We enter the big Dune Desert. This is actually one of the newer areas in the game and one of the newer spawn regions you can start in the game. And it's where I chose to make one last big factory. Now this one last big factory is made for one specific purpose, one sort of goal in the game that I wanted to achieve. And that goal is nuclear power. So everything you're about to see is all towards making the necessary components for nuclear power. Okay, so I'm up on top of my tower now. It's a lot. It's a big business. This was like my last big project before I was done with the game. So basically, I draw resources from all around this area, especially that area right over there and that area over there. I also have a little separate power plant going on that I needed in order to fuel some of these machines before I actually had the nuclear fuel. So we've got a lot of different things going on. We've got Caterium being processed, we've got copper being processed, we've got iron being made into steel and just used for other iron products. And these are being made into a lot of different things. So basically, everything you see on this area is sort of the bottom level of production. Okay, no advanced products being made. Then, once I go over to here, we begin seeing some things like AI limiters being made. We've got rotors, we've got stators, we've got motors. This is where a lot of the more complex pieces are being made. Over here, we have steel encased steel beams. Sorry. And then finally, we have the two most important parts of this whole thing. And then there's concrete right there, that whole row. Then we have this. This is where the the radioactive elements, I got back up, the radioactive elements of the game are made, which is actually from a separate train station, shipped across from a separate location on the map, and then it's processed here, and I can't get too close to all this stuff. Let me, real briefly, open up my inventory and put on my hazmat suit. There we go. So the radioactive stuff is processed through all those refineries. As you know, if you have tackled radioactive stuff, it is a complicated process, but it ends up with these machines right here making the nuclear power rods or fuel rods, which is why it's so radioactive in this area, because there are just tons of radioactive ingredients used for this. And then finally, those radioactive ingredients come down here, the nuclear fuel rods, they come down, and this is where they're actually put into my nuclear reactors, which is sort of my last big crowning achievement. It's already getting real radioactive as I come over here, because I've got like 50 of them stored up in here, because they do not get used up very fast. So you can see it's a lot. But man, do I get a lot of power out of it. So right now I only have 2 of these puppies actually hooked up, and as you can see, they do not use all of it, and that's fine. Then, what you might have just noticed is nuclear waste. Once it's created, it goes off, and I'm not going to show you, but over there I have just a stack of storage to hold the nuclear waste. So that is it. That is my grand Satisfactory adventure. Hope you all like this video. If you want to see more, videos about Satisfactory, like how to do things in the game, different tips and tricks and things, let me know, because I love this game. I absolutely do. And I'm always happy to make more videos on this stuff. So, anyway, have a great rest of your day, everyone. See you later.